got quad gutter with metal fascia with a metal spring clip. As you see, into the fascia and eave lining, moisture sitting down on the bottom of the fascia, and also moisture on the soffit lining or the eave lining. You can see tracks of it moving back underneath the roof line in towards the wall itself. You can see that there's quite a good seal between the back of the gutter here and the metal fascia. There's a good natural seal. The gutter is higher here at the front than at the back, so what happens, the water fills up in this point here and overflows into the wall and eaves cavity. Just another perspective, here we are actually above a window. So if we pan up above the gutter line, we can see how, again, the seal of gutter against the fascia is quite tight because of the spring clip. No gap for overflow or sheet metal. If we move inside the eave, you can see how the eave surface itself tracks all the way back. Now here we have a metal lintel. Can be metal or can be timber, but what I'm feeling here now is the edge of the steel frame and the top of the window, what the lintel bears upon. So this then tracks water down either side. Because the aluminium window is impervious to water, it tracks down to the side of the window, and then what you'll see inside the building is water tracking down the side of the window, usually wetting the sill, and then making its way to the bottom of the frame. What we see in some circumstances, if the household's lucky enough to have them, is that we have these vents. You can see here, this is supposed to be a vent, but it's quite blocked up with mortar at the moment. Can't see anyone. Here's another one here. Here's how it should look. The problem we're finding in our modern homes, are brick homes, that are being, the vents have been left open like this. Quite often not enough to deal with the amount of water, but when the house, modern homes eventually become rendered, a lot of this vent is either restricted or completely closed as a result of the rendering that goes over the brickwork. Just a different perspective of the gutter. If I just pan in underneath, you'll see how the water overflows from this point up onto the fascia, over into the fascia. Once it gets inside, and I hope there's enough lighting to show this, the eave projects back and you'll see the top of the brickwork, and immediately behind the brickwork is the gyprock internal wall, and that's how the water tracks into the wall cavity, which starts to destroy frame and gyprock and internals. Once the frame gets wet, the rot starts, and a matter of years down the track you've got wet rot, dry rot, and frame starting to collapse. A bigger problem that we've got now is just a bit of water coming in here. Just back to the gutter itself, what the remedy basically is, and what the code calls for, is a gap between the back of the gutter here and the fascia. It calls for a 10mm gap to provide a permanent overflow mechanism. So instead of overflowing internally, it'll overflow between the gutter and the fascia. The other alternative is just to put sheet metal behind the gutter, up over the fascia, and then up underneath the tile line so that it's higher than the front of the gutter. And that way you've got that protective mechanism of capturing the heavy flows back internally, captured by the sheet metal. The gutter then fills up and overspills the front.